Welcome to Beyond the Desk with me, Rachel Farrell. I'm a realtor and a homeschool mom serving Southern Middle Tennessee. My mission is to help people live outside of their mortgages by buying homes they can afford and using the rest of their resources to live the life of their dreams, which leads us here. On this podcast, we're going to deep dive the real estate market for consumers and agents alike. We're going to talk about work-life balance for folks who choose to homeschool their kiddos. And then we're going to spend a lot of time talking about all the ways that we can live a life unbound. I look forward to seeing you here every week. Last week was probably one of my favorite episodes of this podcast in all of the years I've been doing it. I've sort of been off and on for the past 3 years. And last week was probably one of the best conversations that I think I've had in the entirety of putting content out there. I loved getting to sit and talk to Trent really from my heart. It can be really challenging to want to put yourself out there and share an opinion that you have with the internet because of how quickly the internet can turn on you. How quickly people who might not be in your corner are watching the videos or listening to the podcast and using those words, taking little snippets of it and saying, oh, did you hear what she said? Do you know how she feels about that? And it can be really intimidating to share that stuff, especially when you're a people pleaser, especially when you've been raised in a world with achievement culture and the things that bring you joy is that sort of, for lack of a better word, just the social acceptance of your thoughts and your feelings. I think everybody has that, and last week was definitely one of the more raw episodes that I had shared. Our journey over the past year, specifically with homeschooling, has been pretty delicate. I've had a lot of thoughts along the journey, and being able to share them out loud in a way that expresses the gratitude that I have to be able to do that with my children, and the empathy that I have for a school system that does so many great things for people, school systems across the country, the public school system in general. I sing Tullahoma City Schools praises. I love the Tullahoma City Schools. There are people in our community that dedicate so many hours to our schools, and I'm so grateful for that. Homeschooling was just a choice that we made for our family, and as I share pieces and parts of that piece of my life, I want to make sure that I'm always coming across as humble, as grateful, as you get scared sharing things online. I get scared sharing things online because I feel like sometimes people like to read between lines that don't exist. And that's where making sure that articulating exactly what I'm feeling and saying exactly what I mean to say becomes almost OCD. You almost spend more time trying to come up with the ways that people can mess up what it is that you're sharing than to appreciate what it is that you're sharing. And at the end of the day, I think that the loss is far greater in not sharing than in making the choice to press record and post the video and say the thing. So I just want to shout out Trent again for having that conversation with me. I want to shout out the book writer, Jennifer Warren, I think was her name. In the comments below, you're going to see her actual name, for writing Never Enough, because I think that it was a really thought-provoking book that opens a lot of conversations around obviously childhood development. But I think, again, the greater conversation comes back to what are we doing as adults? How have we spent 18 years in school, and then again in college, and then I'm in the workforce, and what are the goals all along? What am I trying to do? And how is it that I'm measuring success? Is the success measured in the dollars at the end of the day? Is it in the feelings that I have inside of my body? Because I feel like that truly is it. Can I find peace and contentment in what it is that I have? And how do I get to that point? I think for me, clarifying things is the most important thing that I can do. If I do not have clarity around my goals, around the vision of my family, around what it is that we're doing as a company, certain conversations, a classroom, you don't teach a class with no direction. The class obviously has to have a point. And if you don't open the class by telling people, by the end of this class, what you're going to have learned is X, Y, Z, they're probably going to check out right at the beginning. We do that to ourselves. We don't know what the end game is. I'm not telling myself by the end of this year, what I'm going to see in my life is this. And then you go through the year, you go through the class, you spend the time working towards that. And then by the end of it, you have the knowledge. You have met the goal. You know the dream. Some might call this Kool-Aid. I think it's a secret sauce. Everybody has a secret sauce for something. There are some days where I'll wake up and I'll realize this is a habit that I've formed over years of doing something consistently, and I didn't realize that there was a formula to it, that I had created a formula to cleaning my house. I talk about that ad nauseum. I actually posted a video the other day of cleaning my bathrooms because I clean bathrooms on Tuesdays. It's just what it is. Do I spot clean throughout the week? Absolutely, yes. Do I deep clean my bathrooms every single Tuesday? I do. And when the day turns and I know that it's Tuesday, it's just innate. It just happens. I call it Taco Tuesdays whenever it comes to like social media marketing and consistently posting, or trying to create something within your block calendar schedule. Having something that is just so innately there, that is the secret sauce. Everybody has a Kool-Aid that they're drinking. Everybody has a secret sauce that they're using. And some people need Kool-Aid, some people need sauce, whatever. Today, we're talking about the Kool-Aid, setting goals, time blocking, and then following through on those things. I am, again, speaking from my heart today. I don't have an outline. ChatGPT did not write this for me. You know how much I love ChatGPT. But today we really are just going to talk about some of the very simple things that I've done to create some clarity and to be able to work from day to day, knowing exactly what it is that I need to do to feel successful and keep the ball rolling in the right direction. Back when I had my firstborn son, I had worked full-time for several years. I had obviously gone to college, and then I had been in school for many years before. You have people who are telling you what your goals are all the time. You need to make an A in this course. You need to make this project by X date, and it needs to be like this. Whenever I became a stay-at-home mom, the goal was to keep the child alive and to keep the house clean. There's so many more things that go to it. I'm not belittling what that was. It went from external expectations being set to me being the one to set the expectations within my home and what it was that I was doing from day to day. And it felt a little bit like I was falling off of a cliff. I talk about it all the time. You already know this. I have ADHD. I didn't realize I had ADHD quite as much as I do until I had my firstborn child. When he came into the world and he had his own timetable, when he had his own series of needs and things that were so very cyclical, he was on a clock. I knew the day he was born, he ate, and he ate at 9, noon, 3, and 6 every single day. I mean, it was like 3 hours on the dot. He had to be asleep for his nap by 1 p.m. every single day. And I'm a fly by the seat of your pants kind of girl. Like, having a child that needed that consistency so greatly was mind-blowing. It completely rocked my world. And so I had to relearn how to structure my day in a way that made sense for more than just myself. I was watching YouTube videos at the time. Jordan Page, Fun, Cheap, or Free. She was sharing about time blocking. She has like 12 kids. That was an over-exaggeration. She has like maybe 8, possibly 9. I think she had twins at the end and then she was done. Regardless, girl's got a lot of kids. Like, there's a lot of things going on in her house. She's working to save money. She does, vlogging and YouTube full-time. And she started sharing what her time block calendar looked like, her big time management, her time management plan. And listening to her was so helpful for me. I knew in a day, in order for me to feel successful, I had to look the part. I needed to get up and, put my clothes on, have my makeup done, fix my hair. That was it. That was step one. So every single day, my goal was to be ready for the day by 9 a.m. My time block in the morning, from the moment that I woke up, whatever time that was, until 9 o'clock, was to get ready for the day. And that was the baby step. The next baby step was JD's nap time. What was I going to do while he was napping from 1 until 3 before he decided to eat again? What was I going to do to help keep our house moving forward during that time? There's lots of things I can think of. I mean, obviously you're meal planning, you're prepping for dinner, you're thinking about the budget, you are taking a nap, because sometimes you have to prioritize nap time, especially postpartum moms like that. So I had to think through, what was it that I needed to do and when did I need to do it in order to feel successful inside of my home over the course of the day, over the course of the week, over the course of the month. So that was really kind of the baseline for my time blocking schedule. I think what became really interesting was that whenever I got into real estate, I realized that time blocking was like this whole big thing. It was a whole world that I could learn to master over time. And now I really feel like I've gotten a good grip on it beyond just, all right, let's wake up and get ready by 9 a.m. When it comes to a business, or when it comes to your day-to-day life, there's obviously different parts of your life that you have to prioritize. I am a realtor. My job is to help people transact on homes. My business is Rachel Farrell Realtor, and within that business, I need to do social media marketing. That business is a marketing and lead generation company, essentially. So Rachel Farrell Realtor's job is to make sure that I'm getting leads, that I'm doing things on social media, that I'm podcasting regularly, whatever, that I have a transaction coordinator or a virtual assistant, whatever it is that I need inside of my business to make sure that the business is running like a business so that Rachel Farrell can transact on homes. That's what that category looks like as far as goal setting goes. So I have my transaction goal because Rachel Farrell transacts on houses. And then I have my business goal because Rachel Farrell Realtor is a marketing and lead generation company. I have personal financial goals. My business goals cannot exist unless I know what my personal financial goals are. How much money do I need in a year to survive? How much money does my husband need to bring in? How much money do I need to bring in? How do we need to get a bigger shovel if necessary? What do we want to do with the money that we make? All of those things need to be in that personal financial bubble. What do I want to do this year? That dictates what my business goals are. That dictates how many transactions that I need per year. And then finally, you've got your personal goals. So I have obviously some personal goals of mine is to eat lunch. If you know me, the little bit of ADHD thing going on, and sometimes I just choose not to eat lunch. I know that sounds crazy. I will eat the entire pantry at 11 o'clock p.m. But if it's noon and I'm on the business, like I got the business mindset going, like it's hard to stop the train. Do not derail, because if you derail, then obviously everything spills out and it goes crazy. But most of the time it's really hard to derail because I'm so hyper focused on what it is that I'm doing that I completely skip lunch. So one of my goals is to eat lunch. I have a book count goal. I love to read at least 1 to 2 books per month, so that's on there. And then becoming a time blocking master is another one of those. That's my overarching goal. I have goals for the entire year. One that I think is going to be really easy for me to share with you would be like a social media account number. So my goal on social media, my goal on Instagram is to have 1,500 followers, 1,500 followers on Instagram. That is my year goal. I took the difference of what it is that I have now and what my goal is, and then I divided that out by month. So my month goal right now is to add 24 new followers per month on Instagram. 1 year, 1 month. From week to week, I sit down, I have a time blocking time set on my schedule. I think of it as an on-ramp. On Sundays at 3:30, I sit down and I look at my week, I look at my time block calendar, and I look at my goals, and I look to see, where am I in this month on this goal? Do I have 24 new followers this month? If I don't, what do I need to do this week to make sure that I hit that goal by the end of the month? I do that on Sundays. Like I said, I call it an on-ramp. I actually learned that from a coach of mine. Her name was Sally. Still is Sally. Super sweet lady. I had lamented to her because on Sundays I was having a hard time getting up for church and getting all of my family out the door so that we could go to church on Sunday mornings. And she said, church doesn't start on Sunday morning. Church starts on Saturday night at 6 p.m. If you don't have their clothes laid out, if you don't have the church bag put together, if you don't have the things put in place for you to be able to leave on Sunday morning and get to church, then you're probably going to fail. And she said, you need to view it as an on-ramp. So I am taking that same analogy and we're putting in time blocking. Sundays at 3:30, I sit down and I look at my week and I determine, here's my goal. This week, in order for me to hit that monthly goal so that I can hit my yearly goal, I need to do this exact thing. If I don't do that every Sunday, then my week just feels like Betty Spaghetti. It's all over the place. I don't like throwing spaghetti at the wall to do things. Sometimes that's fun. Whenever it comes to business goals and personal goals, nobody wants to turn 40, look back and say, I spent every single year throwing spaghetti at a wall and nothing stuck. It is my job to make sure that what it is that I'm doing and what I want to do, where I want to be, I'm gonna get there because I'm making choices every single day to get there. So Sundays is my on-ramp. I sit down, I look at my time block calendar, and I decide what I need to fill those time block slots with. I'll go into more detail on that in just a minute. So my goal is 1,500 followers on social media, on Instagram. My monthly goal is 24 per month. In order for me to get there from week to week, you can track that down to 6 per week, but what actually am I doing that in the weeds? What am I doing from week to week in order to make sure that I'm meeting that follower count? I'm posting good quality content. 80% of my content is going to be something personal. My cat, my kids, the garden, the camping stuff. I get more followers for camping things than I do anything else except Harry Potter. But I told myself I wasn't going to talk about Harry Potter anymore. We're going to skip that one. But the things that you post throughout the week in the community, 80% of it has to be something personal, heartfelt. I'm sharing this with you because I want to, because it's my passions, because I'm sharing with you my hobbies so that you can get to know me and trust me, so that whenever it's time to buy real estate that you want to call me. 20% of my posts are real estate related posts. It's the 80-20 rule, just, on social media. So at the beginning of the week, I'll look at my week and I'll say, I am going to McMinnville on Thursday and I'm doing this. I'm reading this particular book to my child on Wednesday, so I might share that. I'm making this dinner on Friday night, so I think I'm gonna share that, and I'll make that plan out. And by the end of the week, I will review and I'll take a look at it and I'll say, these are the things that worked and this is the thing that didn't work. So that the next week, whenever I time block again, I can make the plan and I'll know the cat went wild. That post was incredible. I'm gonna post another picture of my cat doing something else real cute. I'm gonna do something, this obviously brought me a lot of joy and I saw great results from it. So during my time block time on this, since it brought me the followers that I was looking for, I'm going to try and replicate that. And you adjust from week to week. You don't adjust your yearly goal. You don't really adjust your monthly goals. You adjust from week to week so that you can make sure you're hitting the goal. There's something else called the 15th protocol that I find really interesting, where if by the 15th I have 0 out of 24 followers, what is it that I'm gonna do? Like, it's crunch time. The 15th of the month is crunch time. If you're getting to the 25th, the 26th of the month, and you're at 0 out of 24 followers and your goal was 24, what have I not been doing? Because if you're doing the activities, you should see the results. So that's the 411. That is the exercise. You can do that just about anywhere. I have several big goals and I've got them divided out. This is my time block book. I have several goals that are split out. I've got my real estate goals, and then my second tab is KWU certification. I'm looking to be a certified Keller Williams teacher. And in order for me to do that, I have very specific steps that need to be taken. I want to be certified by the end of the year. If I'm going to do that, what do I have to do every single month and every single week to get to that goal? And whenever I broke it down, it really feels digestible. It feels like it's something that I actually can complete because I know what my week looks like. I have clarity around those goals. And then same thing with the director of operations position here inside of the office. So I have these here. What is not entirely put on here would be personal things. So, I'm mom in the house. I've got dinner that I've got to make for the kids, and my husband does an incredible job of helping. Not just helping, he does it. It's part of his world. It's part of his life too. We work on this together. But what is it that's going to be cooked for dinner that night? The house has to be maintained and cleaned. It's not just, I have this whole spiel on clutter versus cleanliness, and I don't like either. So we're working on making sure that our home stays clutter-free, and then every single week I have specific tasks to make certain that we are living in a clean environment. For instance, on Tuesdays, I clean the bathrooms. Every single Tuesday, I clean the bathrooms. Do I spot clean throughout the week? Absolutely yes. But when Tuesday comes, you best believe I'm deep cleaning it. Life happens, things get by us. All of a sudden that, toothpaste spill on the counter gets ignored because we were putting the kids to bed and then we were tired, we forgot about it, we moved on. But you know what's gonna happen? I'm not gonna forget about it for long because I know exactly when I'm going to be back to it. It'll be Tuesday, it's going to be cleaned up, it'll be just fine. That has been probably one of the bigger pieces of time blocking that's made a difference for me. I call it Taco Tuesday. Everybody loves to eat tacos on Tuesday, right? Tuesday is Taco Tuesday. I do the same thing with different things inside of my world. So I call it Toilet Tuesday. That's when I clean my bathrooms. Clean sheet Sundays. I clean our sheets on Sundays. It's pretty self-explanatory. So if Sunday rolls around, what happens? The chore for the day is to clean the sheets. Everybody take your sheets off the bed. We're gonna go ahead and wash them, put new sheets on the bed. Old sheets go get put up for the next time we wanna use them. And creating that sort of automation and that system makes it so much easier from week to week to make sure that those big rocks are actually being accomplished. Changing your sheets is a big rock. Nobody wants to sleep in crumbs. Nobody wants to sleep in dirt, Cleaning your sheets are important. How do you make sure that that's happening so consistently and so systematically that you're not turning around one day and saying, oh my gosh, when was the last time I did that? Because when I do that, I should be able to say, the last time I did that was Sunday. The last time I cleaned those toilets was Tuesday. Because that's the way that it exists inside of my time block schedule. Budget tracking, Sundays. I do it with my husband. I sit down and I will budget my time and we will budget our money and we will sit and we will talk together about it so that he knows exactly what it is that I need to be doing. I know exactly where he needs to be, and we make sure that our worlds are working together so that our family can move forward in a very functional and easy way. So time blocking, the beauty of time blocking is that you really need to take the bigger chunks of your day and you need to allocate them to that 20%. So in order for me to be able to have X number of social media followers, I need to spend an hour per day during my week doing a particular task. Shooting a video at a restaurant, shooting a video at a new listing, taking pictures of something. You get the gist. So I'm gonna set aside that time, Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm coming up with an example. Tuesdays, I'm going to spend from 8 a.m. until 11 a.m. doing this exact thing that's going to further that goal. Back to the cleaning example. I think on Tuesdays at 10 o'clock is whenever I officially am cleaning my bathrooms. So on my calendar, whenever it comes by, all of a sudden 10 o'clock, it's like, hey, it's time to clean your bathroom. So I go and I do that. And that's something that I protect. I protect my time blocks. I make sure that there's not other things that are happening inside of the world that are keeping me from doing the important things. And if for some reason something else comes up, I reschedule it. So for instance too, I've got my real estate and then we homeschool the boys. So I'm homeschooling the boys in the mornings and then in the afternoon I'm doing real estate. I had somebody call me the other day and said, hey, can you meet me at a property at 9:30 next Thursday? And my answer was yes, I can. Although I do homeschooling in the morning, typically on that day, I knew I can do homeschooling in the afternoon and I can meet him at this property at 9:30 that morning. I just rescheduled it. I moved it around. And I will protect that morning time for real estate. I will protect that afternoon time for homeschooling because both of those things are very important things that are happening inside of my world on that day. Another thing that I like to do whenever it comes to time blocking is to project. So I need to have X number of appointments in order to be able to reach my goals. If I'm going to have those appointments, I'm going to go ahead and have those time slots booked out. This is the available time slot, and it literally says, available appointment. So it's an hour in the day, multiple times in the day that I can see. So if somebody calls me and I'm sitting at my computer and they're saying, or even on my phone, and they say, hey, yes, I'd like to meet with you. When can you meet with me? I will say, I can meet you next Tuesday at this time or next Wednesday at this time. And those are times that I'd already scheduled out. I knew those were the times that I needed to be having those appointments. Those are, as I'm trying to incentivize myself, I need to fill those slots with appointments. How am I going to do that? I have my lead gen time in the morning. I'm making the phone call. They ask for an appointment or I ask for the appointment. We schedule the time. I know exactly when I'm going to fill those appointment windows or when I can meet with that person in order to fill those appointment windows. And I think what's neat about that is, again, it just clarifies, okay, so I'm going to be done by 5 p.m. that day. And I will have gotten done everything I need to do in order to feel successful for that part of my job for the rest of the week. We live in a world where our full-time job cannot be our entire life. Our children's education cannot be our full-time job. We need to make sure that we're spending an appropriate amount of time on the things that matter, because there's a lot of things in our lives that matter. Real estate can be a full-time job. You can also spend part-time time and make full-time money if you are allocating your time the exact right way, if you are leveraging resources in your life the exact right way. Nobody gets into full-time work so that they are constantly moving and going and completely exhausted by the end of the day. 40 hours does not have to be the measuring stick for a full-time job. I think I'll leave that there for that one. You have to define what your goals are. You have to decide how many hours per week you can spend doing it, and then you have to decide what activities need to be done in order to get there. So I think sort of in wrapping all of this up, I think the most notable things that you should remember is that you need to have a yearly goal. You need to know what you need to do each month in order to reach that yearly goal. And then each week you need to spend a little bit of time deciding, how do I fill my calendar in a way that gets me to that monthly goal so that I can get to the yearly goal. As you're filling your calendar, you need to make sure during the week that you know. For example, for me, I know Mondays and Wednesdays I'm working in the office doing the office job. Tuesdays and Thursdays, and typically sometime on Saturdays and Sundays, I'm doing real estate. And then I have Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays with my kids doing kid stuff. Whenever I'm breaking those days down, what is it that I need to do inside of that time block calendar? At 12 o'clock, am I prepared to eat lunch every single day? Am I going to be finished with my appointments in time for me to be able to go home and be with my kids at 5 p.m.? Sometimes it feels like micromanaging, but I think that what has made this stand apart from micromanaging is that I don't know exactly what I'm doing every single minute. I have the window where I know, like, okay, during this time I'm going to be doing X task, or I'm going to be working on this, overarching theme of a task. I think it's been really helpful. I don't know that I liked that part. Made this stand apart from micromanaging is that I don't know. Sometimes it feels like micromanaging, but sometimes it feels like micromanaging, but I think that what has made this stand apart from micromanaging is that I don't know exactly what I'm doing every single minute. I have the window where I know, like, okay, during this time I'm going to be doing my kids at 5 p.m. It could feel a little bit like this is micromanaging your time. I think the beauty of it is that you have large windows of opportunity to be able to do things that you need to do anyway. So yes, to a degree, It's managing. I don't think that you're micromanaging this. You're setting expectations for yourself that in order for me to feel peace and happiness at the end of the week, then I need to have clean sheets. And I'm going to do it during this time. And that's how I'm going to feel successful this week. I feel like micromanaging would be far. Micromanaging does not allow for leverage. And I think with time blocking, what I'm doing is realizing, again, going back to the goals conversation, I know that my goal is to have 1,500 followers. Now, what if my goal was to have 15,000 followers? I've built the platform. I have 15,000 followers as my next step goal. I'm gonna have to leverage some things out. I'm gonna be able to spend the same exact amount of time doing what I've been doing with social media, but because I have seen the success and I've grown the way that I have, now I'm gonna take part of the proceeds, a little bit of the dollars, and I'm gonna spend a little bit of the dollars so that I can get my time back and I can make sure that my time is being spent doing the things that's going to continue to make me dollars, rather than spending my time in things that is very little cost per hour. I hope that makes sense. I think that, with micromanaging, you are taking on every single task all the time. You have a checklist and a schedule that is so full that you can't function anymore. This, manila colored paper, my little notepad is covered front to back in 1,000 to-do lists. When you are time blocking and when you're setting goals and you're following through with those goals, you're realizing these are the things that are the most important to that goal, and I can hire out some of these other things. There's things that I can do where I can reach out. Okay, my kids, I need to lick some envelopes today. That's what you're doing. You're gonna go and you're gonna find some houses for me. We're gonna walk around, we're gonna drive through the neighborhood, and we're gonna see which houses look like they might need some help. Who can we reach out to? And we work on that stuff together. But it's really hard to know what to leverage unless you know what your time looks like and the things that weigh the heaviest on you take the most amount of time to help you get towards your goals. I hope this was helpful. Again, last week we had a really great heartfelt conversation and I loved it. This week I felt like we needed to get a little bit more in depth on what you can be doing to create that routine that you're looking for. I highly recommend just baby steps. I know I ended last week's episode with talking about exercise. I need to exercise more. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna time block a little bit of time for exercise, and I'm only gonna do one thing at a time. I'm gonna do the one thing for 2 weeks. And then after I'm done, I will add one more exercise in. When we try to eat the whole elephant, well, you just can't do it. It just doesn't happen. I had this conversation with my financial advisor this morning. You can max out your Roth IRA. It's like $7,000. I'm not a financial advisor, okay? So don't take this as financial advice. When I look at that, this is a maximum number. That's the amount of money that I can put in that per year max. But for some reason, in my mind, I think of that as a minimum. And if I can't put all of that in, why even try? And that's not the way to look at it. I need to be consistently trying to put money towards that so that whenever I turn 65, I can retire and still be bougie. That is my ultimate goal. So I should write that somewhere on the front of this binder. Bouginess by 65. But that really is it. You have to take baby steps. Take a look at your calendar, figure out what your big goals are, and just try it for a week. Try one thing this week. From 1 to 3 every single day, I'm going to do this task and I'm going to see how I feel. And if it works out for me, awesome. I'm going to go ahead and add something else. If I need to tweak it a little bit, let's do that too. That's what I love so much about the 4-week plan. Every single week you're looking at it and you're tweaking it just a little bit to make sure that it's working in your favor every single time. I hope this was helpful to you. If you have any time blocking tips, if you have any consistency habits that you've pulled together, I would love to hear them. I can't wait to see you next week. Have a good one. Thanks for listening. I want to hear from you. If you hear something that resonates with you, give this show a like and a comment. Feedback fuels growth, and I'm ultimately here for you. I can't wait to have you back next week.